It is a very curious phenomenon to see persons whom outright continue to reject the gospel, noticing the positive reverberating effects that the gospel has had in society at large, not only in society at large, but in the hearts of people whom don't necessarily adopt the gospel. They don't necessarily outright reject it. I know that sounds like a bit of a gray area, but there are people whom are sympathetic to Christianity. But still, it's a very, very contradictory thing to see people whom say that Christianity has given us wonderful things, and yet they still outright reject Jesus Christ and his gospel. And we're going to analyze the reasons for the very same. One prominent example that we will examine and comment on is none other than Dennis Prager. He's one of these people whom has endeared himself to Christians, and Christians, according to what he says, have endeared themselves to him because although he is a Judaist, he says that he sympathizes with Christianity. However, when one listens to what he has to say about his reasonings for sympathizing with Christianity and defending the very same, we find that the motives are more ulterior than what they put out. What are the effects of this? What does this mean necessarily for Christians endorsing this kind of thought process? We'll cover this and more on this edition of Irrespective. But before we continue, for those of you that might be joining us for the first time, welcome. My name is Gio, and this is my co-belligerent, and I am his, Jesus.
Good evening, friends. The first time that I heard about Dennis Prager was from a Christian brother who said, you have to listen to this guy on the Ten Commandments. Right there, I threw open the doors to all the radar systems that I owned and I still own, because once you are inviting me to listen to the law, the Ten Commandments, somehow it just triggers the alarms, because I believe there's a possibility that you're trying to get me to follow the law and to embrace the law or to make the law foundational to Christianity. And that's how I found out about Dennis Prager and Prager University. And what Gio is saying is absolutely correct. A lot of Christians take a lot of their P's and Q's from this guy.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
he is scared. You will hear him say so, because even though he is not a Christian, refuses to embrace Christianity. And the main character of Christianity, which would be Christ Jesus, he is scared that we are quickly approaching a post-Christian world.
Which begs the question, if he sees the positive benefits of Christianity and everything that it has built, then why not accept it? Why continue to reject it? It's an important question to ask.
I see the benefits of water, but I just don't want to drink water.
Yeah, see how that works out for you. By the way, before we continue, we have some housekeeping items, and we did announce through Telegram and through other social media outlets that we had big, massive news to share with our audience.
Yes, and yes.
A renowned organization, a worldwide recognized organization, has decided to gift us a prize so coveted that we may dare say that one of the most popular people upon the face of the earth continues to desire it.
Crave it.
Exactly. Covet it.
Yes.
I think would be the envy it would be the word. And we'll share that shortly. But first, some housekeeping items. We have to stay faithful to our audience, and housekeeping items are important. Remember to subscribe if you have not yet done so. Hit the notification bell, share our content, and please click on the thumbs up icon, whether you're watching this on mobile or if you're watching this on your browser. Do not forget to donate. It helps us to continue to put out this content for your edification. QR code in the upper left-hand corner of the screen that you can scan. Conversely, there is a link on the bottom underneath the video player in the description box that you can click. Last but not least, well, not necessarily, I got that wrong. Interact with us by writing questions or comments in the chat. If you're watching this through YouTube, if you're watching this through Rumble, please interact with us in the chat. And
congratulations are in order tonight.
Congratulations are in order too?
Tonight. Yeah, if they want to congratulate.
Right. You must. I would believe it to be your moral responsibility to congratulate us based on our upcoming announcement, which will be forthcoming in less than 30 seconds. So please stick around. I think you'll find this important. But last but not least, do not forget to follow us on X at Irrespective77, which, by the way, I do have a bone to pick with Elon Musk. He sent me a video recorded message earlier today because there was something that was trending on X earlier today in which certain persons were asking those whom are verified on X, which your humble servant is, and we are also verified on X through our Irrespective account, to ask Grok, the in-house AI, about whether or not one's account has been flagged for certain violations and it is being suppressed, as they call it, shadow banning.
Shadow banning.
And I decided to try it out on my personal account, Gio's blog, JIOSBLOG. If you'd like to follow me there, please do so. And I immediately noticed that my account is being suppressed and my reach by about 90%, according to what the information was that Grok gave me.
Shadow banning is not the same as shadow dancing.
No, two completely different
Nothing
things.
to do with the Gibbs.
No, two completely
It's
different
all
things.
Mr. Musk.
Correct. And I wrote Elon and I asked him, Elon, you say that X is a bastion of free speech.
A bastard of what?
No, bastion. Not bastard. Not
Sorry,
bastard. Right,
apologies,
right.
apologies.
Bastion. And interestingly enough, Elon responded, just not in the way that I thought that he would respond. He sent me this video message.
Go pound sand, subhumanoid!
Is that before or after Doobies with Joe Rogan?
At first,
It's
was,
after the Doobies.
At first,
with Rogan, he was there a while back.
Right. I was very excited that Elon would decide. I mean, he is one of the world's most richest men. And I thought, boy, he chose to write me back. He's tending to my concerns. And he sent that to me. I guess I have the distinction that Elon wrote me back.
The other thing that I wish to mention, Gio, is that I did not know that Chief Inspector Clouseau is actually heading up that nation called France.
Correct.
Did you see the pictures that came out from Davos?
Yes.
With he's changed his name, but we know it's actually Clouseau.
Clouseau, correct.
Emmanuel Macron.
What is he, adopting the Joe Biden look with the Ray-Bans now? Obviously, whatever's going on with his eyes has him concerned enough, as it
How
were.
long can you look at Brigitte without suffering
Correct.
from some type of macular disease?
Amongst other things others have said.
Oh.
Another topic for another day.
Yes.
Folks, for the big news now, for the big reveal before we get to the Dennis Prager comments, we would like to share with our audience that none other than the Nobel Committee has decided to award us the Nobel Peace Prize. As you can see it on your screen, Corina Machado, the woman whom is supposedly the opposition leader in Venezuela, received it recently. She granted it to President Trump, which frankly we find to be a bit troublesome that he would actually accept that when he wasn't the recipient of the very same. But I guess the Nobel Committee finds our commentary. Notice what it says on the screen, folks. They have awarded us the Nobel Peace Prize for excellence in journalism and hilarity in commentary.
Hilarity.
Hilarity
Hillary,
in commentary.
but-
No, not Hillary. Not Hillary.
I'm just trying to get my
Correct.
words straight tonight.
Correct. For hilarity
For
in
a while,
commentary.
I thought you said bastard, and I said, whoa. And now Hillary. I said, what is wrong with Gio? But it's just my frequencies. They're not quite in tune tonight. But I'll get it straight now because at the end of the day, I co-won this thing
Right.
with you. Yeah.
So we are in quite distinguished company, if you didn't know. For example, the former leader of the PLO received Yasser Arafat. He received a Nobel Peace Prize.
And
So
Barack Obama got one for nothing.
for nothing, for absolutely nothing. So we are in distinguished company.
Yep.
And if you'd like to send your congratulations via the chat, please do so. Write that in the chat and let us know.
All capitals, so we can understand that you are really meaning that. Like a big congratulations,
Correct.
guys. Yeah.
Correct. Well, moving on to the commentary that we have this evening for our audience.
Please stand by for the President of the United States.
No way.
What?
President Trump? They're obviously having technical difficulties.
You calling from Davos? Is he still out there?
Hello? 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 Can you hear me?
President Trump, We can hear you. We were frankly shocked that you would call us. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, sorry about that. The video failed and my staffers are idiots. Anyways, how you guys doing?
There's a lot of people that do share that sentiment with you about your staffers, but nevertheless, we are taken aback that you decided to call into the show. We're doing quite fine. May we ask, what is the purpose of this call-in?
Gio and Jesus, you're talking to the greatest president of all time. Just thought you'd want to know that.
Well, sir, we do know that, Mr. President, that you do have a penchant for self-glorification. That is true, but still doesn't answer the question as to why you are calling into the show so randomly. As a matter of fact, it's kind of amazing to us, and we're a bit troubled by the fact that you were able to call in, and we did.
Yeah,
it was almost a hacking of the transmission.
Yeah, it was a hacking, and why would the world's greatest, or the all-time great president of the United States call us?
No, I don't get to watch a whole lot. You know, between having to take BB's calls 24/7 and Marco Rubio wanting me to name him Chancellor of Cuba and Mike Huckabee pestering me to name him Pharisee-in-Chief of Israel, I've got a lot going on, you know.
Well, I'm glad you answered that, even though that wasn't necessarily our question. That was going to be my next question as to whether or not you watched. There must be maybe some instances in your day where you watch. But anyways, we ask you again, please, sir, could you ask, we ask you why the transmission hack?
Well, I'm calling, and I'm sure this is a great honor for both of you, because you may have heard that another Nobel Peace Prize winner gave me hers. I think I'm deserving of that one and of the one the committee just gave you.
Okay, we get it now. So this is not about you're enjoying the episodes. It's more about you just being determined, outright dog determined to get the Nobel Peace Prize.
I guess we have not reported sufficiently on the 8 wars that he has stopped.
Correct. We understand, sir. Frankly, this was awarded to us, and we're not going to share that with anyone, including yourself, Mr. President.
I mean, if you don't think I should get it, do remember what I did to Maduro and what I did to Iran. I'm not threatening you or anything. It would just be a shame if something like that were to happen to both of you. I'd prefer to make a deal if you'd be open to that.
Mr. President, that does sound like an overt threat. And this is the President of the United States threatening you as citizens, may I remind you.
No, nothing like that. I do own multiple golf courses and properties. Would you like me to give you free rights to my last name? It'll make the podcast go mega viral. You could call it Trump Respective or Trump Tive or Trump is the greatest man that has ever lived or 47 for life. Or
Mr. President, I'm sorry to interrupt. Like we said before, we're not going to confer upon you the Nobel Peace Prize that was given to us. We're going to keep it. We feel as if since it was gifted to us, we should not do any sort of Indian giving here. So with all due respect, sir, we're not going to hand you that.
Well, if that's the case, you're done. I'm immediately placing a 1,000% tariff on your podcast starting now. Let's see your numbers crater, and then you'll call me and offer me the Peace Prize as a bribe like Corina Machado did. Starting, as a heartfelt gift.
Okay, Mr. President. Look, we have to continue with what we're going to do the rest of this evening, but thank you, sir, for calling. We appreciate it.
Live the Don.
Okay, we're done. We're done. We're just hanging up on the president. President Trump, folks, calling into Irrespective, and some of you thought that we were small fish and small fry, and here we are receiving hacked transmission calls from the president,
the Don himself,
of these United States. One last point, just to show you the level of connections that we have, as many of you know, and maybe we should have brought this up while the president was on the line, but it is important to bring this up to the audience. He had been threatening for various days that the United States might invade Greenland, and just a couple of hours ago, he had posted through Truth Social, and we'll share that with the audience, and this got people to question about the usage of language here, which frankly, we're a bit troubled by it also. He just posted this a few hours ago on Truth Social, quote, based upon a very productive meeting that I have had with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, we have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland. And in fact, the entire Arctic region. The solution, if consummated, that's the phrase that people seem to be having, they're taking offense with. This solution, if consummated, will be a great one for the United States of America and all NATO nations. Well, we're connected to certain powers that be. And it seems as if there has been an agreement, yet they're not ready to announce it. But we have leaked documents of what Greenland is going to look like in the map moving forward after this deal has been officially denominated as the new map of Greenland. And here it is, folks. As you can see here, it's now going to be called Trumpland. And some of the cities that you will notice, they make out a very interesting phrase. The names have been changed from what they are now, totaling to the following phrase: Trump is our daddy. And the last one, which is right next to the Capitol, is now going to be called Please Don't Maduro Us. So
what is
again,
that speck upper right-hand corner? Evankaland. A retreat for women.
And you people thought that we weren't connected and we were small fry. Ladies and gentlemen, what you have just heard, what you have just witnessed, is a new segment that we'd like to introduce in Irrespective, and it is called Ridiculous Ridiculousness. You're welcome. Anyways, on to what we have for our audience this evening. These are Dennis Prager's comments, a clip that you had shared with me, and you said, I think it deserves an episode in our commentary.
Yes.
This is what Prager had to say of the very matter.
The death of Christianity frightens me. Name me one ideology that has supplanted Christianity that has done good for humanity. When people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything. We have entered a post-Christian, or really post-Judeo-Christian, world of the absurd. This Jew is very frightened of a post-Christian.
He says, a clip cuts out there, unfortunately, at the end, where he says he's very afraid of a post-Christian society. But one has to ask the question then, if one notices the benefits of a particular something, in this case, we're talking about the faith once for all given to the saints, then why not adopt the very faith that inspires and gives germination, as it were, gives a genesis to the very society that he is enjoying, that fellow Jews are enjoying, but they continue to refuse to adopt the very faith that has given us these things? Because one has to wonder, Christianity has given us, including the society that he says that he enjoys living in, and he is afraid that it is now leaving our grasp somehow. Why not adopt the very thing that inspires a society that he enjoys living in? I think it's worthy of our consideration.
So specializing in cynicism, not that we're cynics, but whenever we see cynicism, we pick it up and we point it out. One must ask, why is this Jew worried about Jews and not about the banishing Christianity that makes him a concerned Jew, because Jews might be in trouble, persecuted? What about the disappearance of Christianity? What kind of a toll has it taken on all the Christians that, for whatever reason, he's, I guess, a bit of a seer Jew. He sees Christianity just fading, and he sees a society that has no Christianity has gone. What about the toll that it has taken, and it is taking on us? He's just concerned about himself, a Jew.
Yes, correct. More to say on the subject, but what I'd like to do is I'd also like to play for the audience an adjacent clip, just to give the audience some reference here. This is from a Daily Wire series that some people have helped to propagate, which, if I'm not mistaken, is still behind a paywall, which features Jordan Peterson talking about the Gospels. Remember that Jordan Peterson, and I've talked extensively and profiled Peterson in the past, this guy has loved, and he continues to love, to toe the line so that he can maintain influence amongst conservatives, including Christians. But when Christians have pressed him on whether or not he believes, accedes, accepts the premises of the gospel, the divinity of Jesus Christ, and other things, he continues to give these mealy-mouthed answers where he won't give a definitive answer as to whether or not he accepts the divinity of Christ or he outright rejects it. But he does similarly to Prager, where he says Christianity has given us these wonderful things, but he's not willing to go all the way with it, as it were, and accept it outright and say, I'm a Christian, of course.
So all we are It's a firewall.
But then here's the interesting point about it. They see the benefits of the very same. So obviously the benefits that spring out from the root itself, it must be good, but they don't go that far. In Peterson's case, as not only myself and us and others have documented, Peterson is a bit of a charlatan. He's a bit of a demagogue, and he uses a lot of wordsmithery to get away with certain things. Of course, he uses it to impress people with his rhetoric, which to many, they'll say he must be one of the most intelligent men on the face of the earth, although he has contradicted himself and continues to contradict himself in the past. Frankly, and I'm going to steal a phrase here from, unfortunately, of all people, William F. Buckley, when he describes reading Ayn Rand's book. He said, and I'm going to say this about my experience. I remember the 12 Rules for Life. I read that book and I had to flog myself to finish it. Because every single page, turning every single page, and I've got it, I still have it in my library and annotated every single page, noticing the endless contradictions with other concepts that he had in the book. But since he's, as I said earlier, a wordsmith, he gets away with it. And since people venerate him as some sort of modern conservative sage, they don't question, as it were, his motives. But one still has to bring to the forefront why people like Prager, like people like Peterson, will praise Christianity. But again, they will not endorse it. They won't live necessarily by its statutes.
Now he's gone into the popularity kick, and we can take up some of the issues that he talks about, and we have criticized him in the past. And if we have to do it again, we will do that. But now he's in the popularity business. And how do I know this? Have you seen the attires?
No.
And of course, he has explained that he's got a friend, and the friend is a tailor, and he finds these pieces of clothing, and it all seems like so innocent. He does this intentionally.
Yeah.
Because when you present yourself in this manner over and over again, people start to wonder, I wonder what suit he will wear next. And it becomes about suits and not about the topics.
Right.
And so, again,
Typical of personalities, right? Personas.
we pick up on cynicism wherever it shows up. Prager is worried about himself and not the Christians that are disappearing, because if Christianity is disappearing, what happened to the Christians?
Correct.
And this guy is presenting himself along with Benji, because there's a mutual work experience there. But anyway,
Right.
he is presenting himself as this great thinker. And you ask yourself, if you have this, why must you go into the whole attire, the whole showmanship? It's like the great singers. They don't need the dancing. They don't need the extravagant things that sometimes they say. They've got enough with their pipes. But no, especially if they start to lose their audience,
Right.
then they go into the extravagant dressings and the other issues. If this guy is so smart and he is a gifted individual, I'm not going to deny that he is an intellectual. He doesn't need the side gig. Why draw attention to himself in this way? So I see people exploited and drawn to him in this other manner, and I say, careful, because usually people that do this, they have a hidden agenda in operation.
And there's an interesting point when we look at that point that you're making even more profoundly, that those whom would criticize us for noting these things about him tells us a lot about those whom would criticize us for that, because instead of noting that each thing, as it were, each activity, each word tells necessarily a story and even reveals about the person's intentions, motives, and heart, just like Jesus says, you shall know them by their fruits. We talked about this before, being a general principle that allows us to examine and to discern. Those whom favor his teachings and whom idolize him will go to great lengths to defend him, even in the face of evidence that demonstrates that he's doing this for mass attention, to maintain it, to maintain the status quo, to maintain whatever it is that he's making money-wise, massive audience appeal, et cetera, et cetera. These are all very carefully crafted imagery, including the way that he dresses and whatnot, because he has to maintain, as it were, that persona. Otherwise, and that's part of what they call show business. I'm not excusing it. I'm just trying to explain to the audience the way that these people think and why they end up.
It's like a
engaging
film
these
without
acts.
the music score. People will go, that was not a good piece of film work there. That was horrible. And then they bring in the music, and you go, where are the awards?
Right.
And Cirque du Soleil without the music, and you start seeing that they add certain elements to the presentation that you go, I don't need the elements, so why are you adding them? Most especially when it's all about a great conversation, a higher than average intellect. We don't need the sideshow.
That's all fluff.
Nevertheless, he has brought it in.
To give more context to what we're saying to this point,
And
on
by the
what
way,
we're about-
preachers are doing this all the time. More and more, you look at the Sunday programs and you go, is this a pulpit? Is this a place where the pastor is going to speak and teach the flock important things? Or are we watching a showman?
it's kind of
It's
interesting.
kind of vaudevillian, right?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, and that's the perfect way to put it. You know why? Some people will even excuse this even after we're giving the explanation for why they do these things. And they'll say, well, no, you need the showmanship in order to attract attention. And here's the interesting thing about that. Why is it that Peterson gained prominence in the first place? Was it because of his extravagant attire, or was it because, and many of you might remember this, was it because of the lectures that he was giving in Canada and speaking out against the government excesses in Canada? And additionally, how he was speaking to men and not chastising them as society in general has been doing for some time now, and say, no, we need masculinity. That's what propelled Peterson, as it were, into the public spotlight. But once he got there, and it was about now augmenting the audiences and other things, then we begin to see this other aspect, as it were, of Peterson that has made an appearance, which includes the extravagant apparel and all these other associated things that we're talking about. So that's also in context of all of this.
He's all over the place, by the way.
He is.
All
He
over
is.
the place.
He's absolutely all over the place. This next clip that we're going to play from the same series called The Gospels, in which Peterson is featuring all of these commentators, including Prager, gives us more light to what we're about to say. Take a listen.
I'm a religious Jew who deeply, deeply fears the demise of Christianity in the West and elsewhere. The substitutions that have been created in the secular world have all been disastrous, all. And if you care about goodness, you have to worry about the demise of Christianity, whatever your beliefs are. The truest statement of Christianity is Judeo-Christianity. If the Judeo is left out, you don't have a Christianity that is authentic.
That is authentic, he ends by saying. A couple of things to point out. Let me address the first aspect of his commentary and then the second aspect, but there is an intertwining here that I would hope to make the connection for the audience. Number one, if he is so concerned about how Christianity is diminishing in the West, then why doesn't Prager look to his own people, the people whom he identifies with racially and ethnically, for the subversion that they themselves, and by his own words, he has said that they have undertaken to attack the very system under which Jews, Zionists, and others have found shelter for many years? Some of you might be thinking, boy, that sounds like if you're impugning Prager. Evidence that we are going to furnish to you includes Prager's own words. Listen to what he has to say.
Every ism except Nazism was founded and or led disproportionately by Jews. You name it. Marxism, humanism, socialism, environmentalism, feminism, Jews.
So by Prager's own admission, and it's funny, he says it and it's not anti-Semitic, but we point out what he's pointing out and suddenly people denominate us Jew haters for somehow. But when you look at the history of these movements, these people whom have founded these movements had said that what propelled them to initiate these so-called movements, many of them, by the way, not organic in any way, shape, or form, was because they detested the underpinnings of the Christian West and they sought to destroy it from within because they are participants, they said, in this society. But now here you have an individual whom by his very own words has pointed out that his people, the ethnicity he belongs to, the race that he belongs to, have helped undermine the very same thing which he says that he is afraid that it is disappearing. And instead of helping, as it were, buoy that, helping preserve it in some way, shape, or form, he will not go to any lengths in any way, shape, or form. And people like him will not go to any lengths to criticize, as it were, openly, the very same people that belong to his group that have done the thing that he now fears.
So he lays at the feet, Prager does, at the feet of the Jews, Marxism, and just every other ism, if I heard what I heard correctly, except for
Nazism.
okay.
And even then, the history is a bit checkered on that.
Let's give him a pass on it.
Yep.
But he is concerned about the demise. This is the word that he used, demise of Christianity. Well, has it not been Marxism, the environmentalist movement, the atheism
Feminism, he said.
that has arisen against Christianity? And so if he is concerned about the demise of Christianity, he must show, what is that popular word, Gio, that this generation loves? Empathy. Empathy for the Christians. No concern for the Christians or the Christianity that is going to vanish, is vanishing, the demise of Christianity. Just the fact that we have been a firewall for people like him.
Yes.
That's all we have been, according to his own words.
So what we find here then is that he is presenting his sympathy, some would say, and his defense, some would call it, of Christianity, but in reality, it's just masking how it benefits him and his racial.
Where is I get what you're saying.
Right.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I am pleading with my brother and my sister. Where is this sympathy?
Right. Right.
If you actually have sympathy for something, then you would be fighting for that something and not just
Right.
being or showing yourself concern, because if this goes away, I get harmed.
Right.
I don't want to be harmed. Okay, you don't want to be harmed, so let me take care of this that protects me. Oh, that's the only reason that you would feel some sort of empathy or kindness towards me?
So it's not really a sincere loving of the thing. It's more of that thing benefits me somehow, so I'd rather protect it
He
for my
just said
benefit.
that Christianity without Judaism is worthless.
So it's utilitarian.
that's all it is.
Right. So here's the point. Some of you might take issue with what I just said a few seconds ago, but I'll prove it. If by Prager's own words, he says that all of the isms except for Nazism were started by Jews, and yet he continues to insist on Judaism and doesn't embrace the Christianity that he so desires, he hopes that it doesn't disappear, then you have to ask yourself, why does he continue to defend the people that adhere to the very religion that have done the very thing to try to subvert what Christianity has inspired in the West and he lives under, and he tries to say that he protects? Because you would think that at least at a personal level, he would say, if this is what my preferred faith has inspired, then I'm going to renounce my preferred faith and I would rather cling
For
to
inspiring this that destroys Christianity.
that. Thank you very much.
For creating all the isms that have arisen against Christianity, which, by the way, Christianity has served to protect me wherever Christians show up.
But what does he do
This
instead?
is so duplicitous. This is evil.
But to your point, but what does he do? He creates, or rather, he continues to propagate another ism, which is false on its face, which, if you listened carefully to his words on the second clip, he's trying to present, and we've addressed this before, but for the sake of the context of what we're talking about here, once again, here's another Judaizer, which Paul warned us about what they're attempting to do, trying to make Judaism greater than Christianity. But then you have to ask yourself the question, folks, because all these things beg
So if
the
this
question.
is true, I'm sorry to interrupt you. How come the lesser has been protecting the greater?
And not only that, why is it that the lesser produce the very thing that he's trying to protect and not the thing that he calls greater?
And Dennis is an intellectual.
Supposedly. So you notice these contradictions, you notice these shortcomings, but people will still rush to defend them. I can already hear quite a few of his apologists whom will say, how dare you take a man whom is now immobile in such a dire strait, as it were, physically and health-wise, and criticize him this way. So let me see if I've understood. Just because a person is infirm suddenly makes them exempt from examination over the error that they have taught and continue to
How
hold
dare
by.
you talk about Hitler? He's dead. You shouldn't be talking about dead people like that.
I'm glad you're using the sarcasm to point out the ridiculousness of the assertion. So it gets to the point, folks. But again, another thing to address in the midst of all of this, something we've mentioned before, some Christians will notice this, but they refuse to tackle the contradiction head on because they don't want to be seen as,
If you're not an expert in cynicism like we are, you can't really see the cynics. You will see what they show you, what they want you to see, and we are a people that love you. We care for you. Look at the things we're saying. We're actually saying that Christianity is under attack and it will suffer what? Death, demise. Please look at us this way. We see the cynicism.
Yeah. The other ism that I'm talking about that he is helping to continue to try to uphold this idea of Christian Zionism. But as we've talked about before, and we've said it repeatedly, when you think about it, God, he is not partial to any person. He's not partial to any particular race. He's not partial to any particular ethnicity. But Christian Zionists won't admit it. But in essence, what they teach and they uphold is that Jewish people, just by being whom they are, ethnically and racially, they have a special place in God's plan, and they are even above reproach compared to Christians, which in essence, they view as second-class citizens and people whom have to render some sort of plebiscite to Jews just for being Jews and so-called God's chosen people. But when you arrive at the New Testament and you see what Paul has to say about salvific faith and grace in Christ Jesus, just because God had made a nation out of them, it doesn't give them any sort of special privileges, as it were, under grace. All have fallen short of the glory of God. Everyone, as it were, is under sin and needs to come to Christ. The Jews, Prager included, Benji Shapiro, others, they don't get an exemption just for their race or their ethnicity. It doesn't matter how much they teach subtly to the contrary. But unfortunately, he continues to add, Prager, by his subtle defense of these things, he continues to add on, pile on to this. And this is why I think it was necessary for us to tackle his teachings, because there's an awful lot of error that he continues to propagate, again, for self-interest and in the interest of the people that he says that he is part of that preference group.
When you present yourself as a benefactor, and I can actually see that you're not benefiting me, you're saying that you are, you want me to believe that you are, but you're actually hurting me, then I see you for what you are and kind of obligated to call you out on that.
Yes, absolutely. One last point that I'd like to address. I don't know if you have any final thoughts on the matter. One final thing I'd like to address. There are some whom, examining all this, would ask the question, well, Gio, why would you necessarily then take issue with a person whom, let's suppose that you're right, some would say, that he is upholding Christianity because it benefits him and his people group? Doesn't that necessarily help Christianity? I thought that by now we would have proven that by the very fact that he is unwilling to not only renounce the faith that he belongs to, which helps, or not helps, let me use the correct terminology here, continues to try to subvert Christianity. Paul was facing it in his day and age. Jesus faced it when he ministered to us. We're still facing it in our day and age. Instead of renouncing that and saying, guys, Jesus is the Messiah, Jesus is Lord, renounce that. We have to submit, as it were, to the Christian faith. That's not what he teaches. He still continues to insist on his rejection of Jesus Christ and upholding a religion that, when one notices the particulars of it, they actually go quite contrary and are actually quite hostile to the Christian faith. So on one side, you can't do what Prager does and give the appearance of, I am Christian adjacent, so to speak, and supportive. And on the other, endorse a religion that actually has outright hostility and tries to hide it, by the way, in many different ways, to Christianity. You can't have it both ways. So to your point, there is a duplicity in all of this. So please keep that in mind. Folks, we want to thank you for watching this edition. If I do say so myself, this has been a rather impressive edition of Irrespective. Award-winning. Literally quite award-winning.
Yes.
We received we revealed to people that we received the Nobel Peace Prize.
Robert De Niro might be a convert after this.
We just told people that we announced to everyone.
And he might be bringing back Jodie Foster.
Jeez. Oh,
they're going to do taxi.
Oh, no.
Taxi cab.
Geriatric taxi. We let people know that we received the Nobel Peace Prize. The president of these states united decided to hack our transmission and call in and demand, by threats, by the way,
unbelievable,
that we were to hand it over, and we summarily pushed him off. We received the updated map, unpublished but leaked to us, of Greenland, which it will now be called Trumpland, and I think we were pretty much successfully and succinctly.
They will be playing ice golf there.
Do the golf balls, do they ever stop rolling on the greens?
They start snowballing, and they fall into the ocean. And that will be a hole in one.
I see how it works. Folks, please remember to subscribe. If you have not yet done so, hit the notification bell. Click on the thumbs up Smash that thumbs up button and do not forget to share. Follow us on X at Irrespective77. Also, do not forget to donate. It helps us to continue to put out this content for your edification. QR code in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. There's conversely a link underneath the video player that you can click on. On Sunday, we have another important segment, an episode for our audience.
It'll be award-winning.
Another award winner, and we might have to hire engineers, not Silicon Valley engineers. We don't want those type of people here to hack our
Wait a minute.
transmissions.
Now you're talking about bringing in some Wyndham.
We don't want any more H-1Bs at Vivek, like Vivek wants for the people from Virkanchari to come here.
This is the problematic.
Correct. On Sunday, we are going to address the most recent declarations from the World Economics Forum's resident philosopher, Noah Yuval Harari, in which he says that AI is going to rewrite the Bible and create a new religious text for us. So we're going to ask the question, will and can AI rewrite the Bible? Is it possible, and what does it portend for the future of Christianity?
It could be that Trump might be the Messiah.
Some have said he's the Antichrist. You know, they go to both extremes on those things.
Let's see what AI comes up with.
Let's see what AI comes up with. So we hope that you'll join us then, Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next edition of Irrespective. That's all that we have for you this evening. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your week. For Jesus, my co-belligerent, this is Gio. Until the next occasion that we gather, may the Lord shine his face upon you.